which are made up of many cells, they are known as the multicellular organism. अगर हमें यूनिसेलुलर का कोई एग्जाम्पल देना आ जाए तो छोटी क्लासेस से हमारा एक बड़ा फेवरेट सा एग्जाम्पल होता है अमीबा। अमीबा की अगर हम बात करें तो इस तरीके से कि रेगुलर शेप बॉडी ऑर्गेनिज्म है, बीच में एक न्यूक्लियस है, चारों तरफ साइटोप्लाज्म है, इसको हम क्या नाम देते हैं? अमीबा। और ये किसका एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा? यूनिसेलुलर का, बिकॉज इट इज मेड अप ऑफ ओनली वन सेल। अगर हमें मैनी सेल्स का एग्जाम्पल देना है कि मल्टी सेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म में हम किसको काउंट कर सकते हैं, तो वी कैन टेक द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ ह्यूमन बींग्स। वी आर द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ द मल्टी सेलुलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स। तो क्लियर है यहाँ तक? ये हमारा जनरल टॉपिक था जो पिछली क्लासेस में हमने पढ़ा है कि सेल के बेसिस पर हम ऑर्गेनिजम्स को दो कैटेगरी में डिवाइड करते हैं, यूनी और मल्टी सेलुलर की कैटेगरी में। नाउ वी मूव ऑन द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, जो पहले भी हम बात कर रहे थे कि सेल्स जो है उनकी डिस्कवरी कैसे हुई, सेल को किसने डिस्कवर किया, किस तरीके से सेल जो है वो हमारी नॉलेज में आई कि सेल नाम का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट है, सेल कोई चीज है। तो नाउ वी रीड अबाउट द डिस्कवरी ऑफ द सेल। तो सेल को डिस्कवर करने में जो सबसे पहला और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट नाम आता है दैट इज रॉबर्ट हुक। एक साइंटिस्ट थे रॉबर्ट हुक जिन्होंने 1665 में सेल को डिस्कवर किया था। और ये भी इंटरेस्टिंग है कि जब रॉबर्ट हुक ने सेल को डिस्कवर किया तो उस टाइम पर माइक्रोस्कोप का इतना चलन नहीं था, माइक्रोस्कोप्स के बारे में इतना लोग जानते नहीं थे, इवन बने भी नहीं थे। रॉबर्ट हुक जो थे इन्होंने एक खुद के डिजाइन किए हुए एक सेल्फ डिजाइंड माइक्रोस्कोप से सेल को डिस्कवर किया 1665 के अंदर। और सेल को उन्होंने डिस्कवर जब किया, जो फर्स्ट उन्होंने मटेरियल यूज किया सेल को डिस्कवर करने के लिए, दैट इज द थिन स्लाइस ऑफ कॉर्क। सेल की डिस्कवरी उन्होंने की थिन स्लाइसिस ऑफ कॉर्क की मदद से। थिन स्लाइसिस उसने क्यों ली? क्योंकि जब माइक्रोस्कोप में कोई भी चीज देखनी होती है तो हम उसका अगर बिल्कुल पतले से पतला सेक्शन लेते हैं तब हमें सारे जो ऑर्गेनलीज उसके अंदर होते हैं वो क्लियरली नजर आते हैं। तो थिन स्लाइसिस ऑफ कॉर्क जो है वो यूज की थी रॉबर्ट हुक ने, और इसको उसने ऑब्जर्व किया था अपने खुद के बनाए हुए माइक्रोस्कोप की मदद से। और उसको उसमें जो स्ट्रक्चर नजर आई थी वो कुछ इस तरह की स्ट्रक्चर्स थी, हनीकॉम लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स जो है वो उसने ऑब्जर्व की थी अपने उस सेल्फ मेड माइक्रोस्कोप की मदद से, जो बिल्कुल बीच में से एम्प्टी थी और ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे मधुमक्खी का छत्ता होता है ना, उस तरह की स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो रॉबर्ट हुक ने डिस्कवर की थी। बाद में ये हुआ कि एक्चुअल में जो सेल डिस्कवर की गई थी वो कैसी सेल्स थी? स्टूडेंट, yesterday we read about the cell and the discovery of the cell, but today our topic is cell theory. About the cell theory, this cell theory is given by the two scientists whose names are Angus Caledon and the T. Saccone. Out of these two, Angus Caledon, he was a botanist, and the T. Saccone, he was a zoologist. Botanists are the person which study about the plants, and zoologists are the person which study about the animals. This scientist Angus Caledon said all the plants are made up of cell, and this scientist said all the animals are made up of cells. And we all know plants and animals, they both are living things. So collectively they gave a postulate that is all living things are made up of the cell. So this is the first point about the cell theory. Now in 1855 another scientist whose name is Rudolf Virchow, he was actually a pathologist, and he stated that omnicellula e cellula, it's a Latin word whose meaning is the cells develop from the pre-existing cell. He said that every new cell is developed from the division of the pre-existing cell. So this becomes the second postulate for the cell theory, that the cells develop from the pre-existing cell. Now the third one, all the activity of an organism are the sum total of the activity of cells. Means all the activity which an organism perform, like walking, eating, running, all that activity is performed actually due to the collective action of their cells. So these are the main 3 points which are for the cell theory. If there is a question about the cell theory, what are the main postulates? So that is, First one, all living things are made up of cells. Second one, the cell developed from the pre-existing cell. And the third one is, the activities of an organism are the sum total of activities of its cells. Yes, student. Now we move on our next topic, the shape and size of the cells. Cells may vary in their shape and size. In our body there are the different kind of cells are present, and these cells have the different shapes. There are some cells which can change their shape, and that cells are generally amoeba and the WBC. Amoeba, as we already know, it is a microscopic organism. It can change its shape to get its food. And WBC, these are known as the white blood cells. Their main function is they provide immunity to our body. They fight against the disease causing germ, and to kill that germ they generally change their shape. So these are the example of those cells which can change their shape. Now there are number of cells which have the fixed shape. There are some examples of that cells are given. The first one is the liver cells. That cells are generally polygonal in shape. Next one is the ovum, which is spherical in shape. Out of this structure, this one is the ovum. This is having the spherical shape. Now the next one is the fat cells. We store the fat in our body. That cells are generally elliptical in shape. Here the fat cells are given, that is elliptical in shape. Now the next one is the smooth muscle cells. These cells are actually the spindle shaped cells. What are spindle shape? As you know, these are the shape which have the broad, which is broad in the middle, and they have the tapering end. So these are the smooth muscle cells which generally have the spindle shaped structure. Now the next one is the germ cell, which is cuboidal in shape. They have cube-like structures. Next one is the bone cells. They are generally the stellate, means star-like shape. These are the cells which are known as the bone cell. And now the sperm cell. These cells are generally the knobed thread. This one, they have a thread-like structure and a knob. So they are the knobed thread structure, and that are actually the sperm cell. Actually these different shapes of the cell are due to the function which they perform, which type of functions they carry. So their shape are according to that function. Like these are the nerve cell. They are elongated thread-like structure because their main function is to carry the messages from one part to another. They carry the stimulus from the surrounding. Any stimulus like heat, cold, another thing, any stimulus, external stimulus that is carried by the neuron, they transmit it to the next, then the next. So they are elongated in shape. So due to the function, because of their function, they are of different kinds. Yes, student. Now we discuss about the size of the cells. The cells, like the size of the cell, also vary like the shape of the cell. Cells are of different sizes. Some of the cells are very small in size. They are even so small that we cannot see them without the help of a microscope, like the mycoplasma. Mycoplasm is a cell which cannot be seen with the naked eye. To see this cell, we need the microscope, and there are some cells which are big in size so that we can see them, like the ostrich egg. Ostrich egg is a cell which we can see. This is the cell which is largest in the size, and there are some cells which are longest cell. If there is the example of longest cell, then we can give the example of the nerve cell. These are the cells which are the longest cell in the animal. Dear student, the size of the cell do not depend on the size of the animals. It's not required that elephant is very big in size. That means it have a long cells. Even an elephant can have the cell like the human being, like a small animal. So the size of the animal is depend on the number of cells, not on the size of the cell. Clear? The size of an animal is depend on the number of cells, not on the size of the cell. So today this is our topic about the size of the cell. Now session we discuss about the component of the cell. This is our next topic. Thread-like structure, because their main function is to carry the messages from one part to another. They carry the stimulus from the surrounding, any stimulus like heat, cold, another thing, any stimulus, external stimulus that is carried by the neuron, they transmit it to the next, then the next, so they are elongated in shape. So due to the function, because of their function, they are of different kinds. Yes student, now we discuss about the size of the cells. The cells, like the size of the cell also vary like the shape of the cell. Cells are of different sizes. Some of the cells are very small in size. They are even so small that we cannot see them without the help of a microscope, like the mycoplasma. Mycoplasm is a cell which cannot be seen with the naked eye. To see this cell we need the microscope, and there are some cells which are big in size so that we can see them, like the ostrich egg. Ostrich egg is a cell which we can see. This is the cell which is largest in the size, and there are some cells which are longest cell. If there is the example of longest cell, then we can give the example of the nerve cell. These are the cells which are the longest cell in the animal. Dear student, the size of the cell do not depend on the size of the animals. It's not required that elephant is very big in size, that means it have a long cells. Even an elephant can have the cell like the human being, like a small animal. So the size of the animal is depend on the number of cells, not on the size of the cell. Clear? The size of an animal is depend on the number of cells, not on the size of the cell. So today this is our topic about the size of the cell. Now session we discuss about the component of the cell. This is our next topic. May vary in their shape and size. In our body there are the different kind of cells are present, and these cells have the different shapes. There are some cells which can change their shape, and that cells are generally amoeba and the WBC. Amoeba, as we already know, it is a microscopic organism. It can change its shape to get its food. And WBC, these are known as the white blood cells. Their main function is they provide immunity to our body. They fight against the disease causing germ, and to kill that germ they generally change their shape. So these are the example of those cells which can change their shape. Now there are number of cells which have the fixed shape. There are some examples of that cells are given. The first one is the liver cells. That cells are generally polygonal in shape. Next one is the ovum, which is spherical in shape. Out of this structure, this one is the ovum. This is having the spherical shape. Now the next one is the fat cells. We store the fat in our body. That cells are generally elliptical in shape. Here the fat cells are given, that is elliptical in shape. Now the next one is the smooth muscle cells. These cells are actually the spindle shaped cells. What are spindle shape? As you know, these are the shape which have the broad, which is broad in the middle, and they have the tapering end. So these are the smooth muscle cells which generally have the spindle shaped structure. Now the next one is the germ cell, which is cuboidal in shape. They have cube-like structures. Next one is the bone cells. They are generally the stellate, means star-like shape. These are the cells which are known as the bone cell. And now the sperm cell. These cells are generally the knobed thread. This one. They have a thread-like structure and a knob. So they are the knobed thread structure, and that are actually the sperm cell. Actually these different shapes of the cell are due to the function which they perform. Which type of functions they carry, so their shape are according to that function. Like these are the nerve cell. They are elongated thread-like structure because their main function is to carry the messages from one student. Yesterday we discussed the shape and the size of the cell, and today we discuss the basic component of a cell. Generally, a cell is made up of the three basic components. The first one is plasma membrane, second one is nucleus, and the third one is cytoplasm. These three are the basic component of a cell, and these three are known as collectively they are known as the functional region of the cell. Out of these three, first one is plasma membrane. The main function of this membrane is to separate this inner content of the cell from the outer surrounding. It separates all the content from the outer environment. Then the nucleus. Nucleus performs the same function that is performed by the brain in our body. It controls all the activity of the cell. All the activity, metabolic activity which is occur in a cell, that is controlled by this nucleus. So that's why it is known as the control center of the cell. Then this is the cytoplasm. It is the fluid which is present in the cell, and all the metabolic activity is occur in this cytoplasm. Yes student, out of that three component, today we elaborate this term nucleus. We read about the nucleus in detail today. Nucleus, as we already said, it is the control center of the cell. It controls all the activity of the cell. So here is the structure of the nucleus. It generally consists of the four parts: the nuclear membrane, nuclear pores, chromatin network, nucleoplasm, and the nucleolus. These are the main part of a nucleus. First, we discuss the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is the outermost covering of the nucleus. There are generally the two membranous structure are present in the nucleus: outer membrane and the inner membrane. This outer membrane contains the ribosomes on it, and these ribosomes help in the protein synthesis. Then in this nuclear membrane there are some small pores are present, small holes are present in it, that are known as the nuclear pores. With the help of these pores, the nucleus can exchange the material with the surrounding, with the cytoplasm. So these pores help this membrane, this nucleus to. So these pores help the nucleus to take the to exchange the material. Then next one is the nucleolus. Nucleolus is a nearly rounded structure present in the nucleus. The main thing which are present in the nucleolus are the RNA and the protein. This nucleolus generally contains these two things, the RNA and the protein. These RNA is responsible, these are mainly the site for the ribosomes, and ribosomes help in the protein synthesis. Generally, in all the cells, only the single nucleus is present, but there are number of cells in which the two nuclei are present. Basically, the cell paramecium, it have the two nuclei, and there are some cells also in which the more than two nuclei are present. And also it is interesting that in some cells, when that cells mature, then they lose their nucleus at the time of maturity, like the RBCs in the mammals. And that kind of cells which do not have the nucleus, they can survive only for a short duration of time. Yes student, we discuss nuclear membrane, nucleolus, nuclear pores. Then there is the nucleoplasm. Plasm word for the liquid. It is the liquid which is present in the nucleus, that is called the nucleoplasm. It is the material in which this nucleolus and all the things like chromatin thread, they all are suspended in it. That structure is called the nucleoplasm. All the activity of the nucleus actually happen in this nucleoplasm. Then our next topic, chromatin network. Chromatin network, actually these are the thread-like structure which are present in the nucleus, that are known as the chromatin thread. During the time of cell division, when a cell start dividing, then these thread-like structure will start condensing and they will start forming the rod-like structure, that is known as the chromosomes. when the cell divide, then these kind of structure are formed, chromosome. These are the structure. Chromatin actually the structure which helps to transfer the hereditary information from one generation to the next generation. The one function of the nucleus is also that it help to carry the hereditary information from one to the next. It contain all the hereditary unit, all the hereditary information, and it transfer it to the next with the help of these chromosomes. We also discuss the structure of this chromosome. There are the two structures are here that is known as the chromatids. The structure which are present here that are actually known as the chromatid. These are the arm of a chromosome, and this structure attached with it, with this structure, a spherical shaped structure, that structure is known as the centromere. This is the part from where these two structures are attached with it, and this structure actually known as chromatid. These are also known as the arm of the chromosome. Yes student, at last we discuss the function of the nucleus. First of all, it control all the metabolic activity of the cell, so that's why it is called the control center of the cell. Next one, it regulate the cell cycle. All the cell cycle is generally controlled by the nucleus, and it also help in the cell division. It take part in the formation of ribosome, which we have already read in the nucleolus. The nucleolus generally the site for the ribosome synthesis. Then it contain all the genetic information. It help to transfer the genetic information from one to the next. So this is all about the function of the nucleus. Hello student, in our previous session we discussed about the nucleus. Today we discuss the plasma membrane. This is the second most important basic component of the cell. So today we discuss the plasma membrane. Actually this plasma membrane is the outermost covering of a cell, and this plasma membrane separate the inner content of a cell from the outer surrounding. And plasma membrane is a living membrane. It is thin and elastic membrane. On the basis of permeability, the membranes are of different kinds. Here we provided the name. First of all, impermeable membrane. These are that kind of membrane which do not allow any material like solvent or the solute particles to pass through them. They are totally impermeable. They are the that kind of membrane are generally cuticle layer. This kind of cuticle layer is generally present on the xerophytic plant, the plants which are grown in the desert. In that cases, that plant do not want the process of transpiration. So, to prevent the loss of water, they have a extra layer on it, that is the cuticle layer, and that is impermeable. Second one is permeable. Permeable are those kind of membrane which allow all the material like solvent and the solute particles to pass through them, and the example of that kind of cell is primary cell wall. Next is the semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane are those membrane which allow only the solvent particles but not the solute to pass through them. That kind of membrane are called semi-permeable membrane. And the example of that kind of membranes are artificial vapor membrane. These are the example of semi-permeable membrane. And last one is selectively permeable membrane. Selective word is here for only this kind of membrane which allow only this membrane allows solvent but also some selected solute particles. So that's why they are known as the selectively membrane. There is a basic difference between these two, semi-permeable and selectively permeable. Semi-permeable only allows solvent, not the solute. But this membrane allow solvent also along with some selected solute particles. So that's why it is called selectively permeable membrane. And the plasma membrane which we discussed today, that membrane is the selectively permeable membrane. So here a question can be arise, why the plasma membrane is called the selectively permeable membrane? Because it allows only the selected particles to move in and out of the cell. Yes student, now we discuss the molecular structure of plasma membrane. Basically, all the plasma membrane are composed of protein, lipids and the small fractions of carbohydrates. Actual molecular structure of this, there are various models are given regarding the structure of the plasma membrane, but the main basic structure of this plasma membrane is explained by this model, the fluid mosaic model. This model is given by the two scientists whose name are Singer and Nicholson. They proposed this model in 1972, and according to this model, the plasma membrane is made up of a bilayer of lipid. A bilayer, bi means two. There are two layers of lipids are present, and in it there are the protein molecules. There are generally the two type of protein molecules, intrinsic and extrinsic protein are present in it, and this intrinsic protein are embedded in this lipid bilayer incompletely or completely, and this extrinsic protein is present over this bilayer of lipid. Intrinsic, intra word come for inside, and extra word, extreme, this word is come for outside. So these kind of protein are present embedded in it, and these kind of protein are present on this plasma membrane. The plasma membrane mainly made up of a bilayer of lipid, and it also consists of the protein. The plasma membrane is a membrane which is living. It allows selected particles to move in and out of the cell. So this is about the molecular structure of the plasma membrane. Now we discuss the function of this plasma membrane. What function are performed by this plasma membrane in a cell? The main functions of a plasma membrane are, the first one, it gives form to the cell, means it gives a definite shape to a cell. Secondly, it protects the cell from the injury. It is the outermost covering, so it protects a cell from the injury, external injury. Third one, it regulates the flow of selected material into and out of the cell. As we already discussed, it is a selectively permeable membrane, so it allows only the selected material to move in and out of the cell. It's also the function of plasma membrane. Then it acts as a mechanical barrier. It protects the internal content of the cell. It acts as a mechanical barrier. It's same thing like this. It protects the cell from the injury. It acts as a mechanical barrier. It protects the internal content of the cell. So this is about the function, main function of the plasma membrane. There are some another function of the plasma membrane are also, but we discuss only these four main basic function of the plasma membrane. Now next we move on our next topic, that is the transport of the material across a membrane. Plasma membrane in a cell help in the transport of material. That kind of transport are of two types, the active transport and the passive transport. There are generally two type of transport, but there is also another type of transport mechanism is there, that is the bulk transport, that we discuss in our next classes. But in our according to our 9th class, there are the two transport are included. First one, the active transport. It is a type of transport across the plasma membrane which require the use of energy. It is a transport in which the material are transferred with the help of the energy, and that energy is provided in the form of ATP. And there is also another type of transport that is called the passive transport. It also a transport which is done without the use of energy. In such kind of transport, there is the no expenditure of energy is there. Passive transport generally of two types, that is the diffusion and the osmosis. Out of the two type of passive transport, here we discuss the process of diffusion. Diffusion actually a process of the movement of a substance. That substance may be liquid, solid or gas. It is the movement of the substance from the region of its higher concentration to the region of its lower concentration. That substance move from the region of its higher concentration where it is present in the large quantity, and it will move to that region where it is present in the less concentration, in the less quantity. So this kind of movement from higher region to the lower region, that is known as the diffusion. And diffusion we can demonstrate easily with the help of an example. Suppose we have a bottle of scent. If we open that bottle in one corner of the room, after some time it will be spread in whole the room. That is due to the process of diffusion. Suppose we are in that corner of the room, here the concentration of that perfume is more, but in surrounding it is less. So that perfume will move from that higher concentration to the lower concentration, and slowly it will be spread in the whole room. That is due to the process of diffusion. Clear? So we can show this process with the help of that bottle of perfume. Next, diffusion across the cell membrane. How the diffusion is occur through the cell membrane? Here we can take the example of a cell. Suppose there is a cell. If the cell performs the process of respiration, then it will lose the oxygen. It has the less oxygen. So it but in the surrounding medium, suppose that cell in the water more concentration of O2 is there, but in cell it is less. So oxygen will move from that surrounding medium to the cell, but when the cell respire, it will produce the CO2. So here the concentration of CO2 is more, but in the surrounding the concentration of CO2 is less, so that the CO2 gas will move from cell to the outside. So by this example we can show that the things move from higher to the lower concentration. Here concentration of O2 is more, here is less. So O2 move from higher to lower. But in cell the concentration of CO2 is more, but in the surrounding less CO2. So CO2 move from this to this area. So this is the way how the gases are exchanged through the cell membrane. Actually the process of respiration occur in our body. Due to the process, but in our body only simple diffusion is not sufficient. That we discuss in our next chapters. Here we just give the description of this diffusion process. Next, the importance of diffusion. Where the diffusion is important, in which part, in which reason it is important. First of all, in the gaseous exchange, here we discuss about it. Then the transpiration. As you already know, what is transpiration? We read about the transpiration in our 8th class, in 7th class. It is the process in which the plant loses the water in the form of water vapors. That process is called transpiration. It is done due to the process of diffusion. Water move from higher to lower concentration. Then aroma. The fragrance of the flower is spread in the surrounding. That is due to the process of diffusion. And there is another process, osmosis. That is also a type of diffusion. This topic we will discuss in our next session. So here we discuss about the diffusion, and next our topic in our next session, the topic is the osmosis. Hello student, today we read about the topic osmosis. Here we discuss the process osmosis, the method of transportation. First of all, there is the definition of osmosis is given. It is the movement of water from the area of its higher concentration to the area of its lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. Yesterday we read about the diffusion. That is the process in which any substance moves. Here only the movement of water or any solvent from the area of its higher concentration to the area of its lower concentration. But in diffusion, there is no need of the semi-permeable membrane. But for this process, osmosis, there is the need of a semi-permeable membrane. These are the basic differences between the osmosis and the diffusion process. That diffusion and osmosis, both the process which are used for the transportation purpose, but there are some basic differences in them that we already discussed here. Then this osmosis, it is of two types, that is endosmosis and the exosmosis. In science, the endo word come for the inside and this exo word come for outside. So if we define endosmosis, then we can say it is the osmotic entry of water into a cell. When water is entered into a cell, then that process is called endosmosis. And exo, we already discussed for the outside, so it is the osmotic withdrawal of water from a cell. When the water is moved out of the cell, then that process is known as the exosmosis. Yes, student. Now we demonstrate this process of osmosis. How this process is occur in the laboratory. We will do this experiment in our lab after this. But now we discuss it here with the help of this diagram. First of all, we take a funnel that contains the sugar solution, and we just tie it with the help of a semi-permeable membrane, or at this end we tie up a semi-permeable membrane, and we place it in the beaker which is filled with the water. We invert this funnel and place it in the beaker that is filled with the water. First of all, we observe the level of sugar in the funnel, that is on this level A. But after some time, when we place it in the water, then we observe after some time the level of the sugar is increased in the funnel from this level A to the level B. So now student, there is a question arise, why the level of the sugar is increased in this funnel from A to B. What happens there? So dear student, as we already read, osmosis is a process in which a solvent moves from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So here in the beaker, the water molecule is present. Water is a solvent. Here is the higher concentration of the solvent. We just demonstrate this small portion with the help of this. This small portion is elaborated here. This one is the semi-permeable membrane, and here the water molecules are present. So water is at higher concentration. Water in this, there is the higher concentration of solvent, but here the concentration of solvent is less. So the water will move from this higher concentration to the lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane, and this process is known as the osmosis. So we can experimentally show the process of osmosis with the help of this experiment. Yes student, after osmosis we read about the osmotic solutions. Osmotic solutions are those solutions which can cause the osmosis if they are separated from the solvent by a semi-permeable membrane. Generally, there are the three kind of osmotic solutions are present. First one, hypotonic, second one, isotonic, and the third one is hypertonic. In science, the hypo word always come for less. Iso word always come for same. And this hyper word come for more. Means, first of all, we take hypotonic solution. It is a dilute solution which has an osmotic concentration lower than that of another solution. Hypo means less. So it is a solution which has the lower concentration, osmotic concentration than that of the another solution. Second one is isotonic. Iso word is come for same. So means it is a solution which has the similar concentration to that of the another solution. Then next one is the hypertonic solution. Hyper word come for more. So it is a solution which has more or higher concentration than that of the another solution, that is called the hypertonic solution. So these are the three kind of osmotic solution: hypotonic, isotonic, and the hypertonic solution. Clear? Hypo for the less, so it means it has less concentration than that of another. Iso for the same, so it has the similar concentration than that of the another solution. And hyper for the more, so this solution has the more concentration than that of the another solution. Now the questioning can be like this: what will happen to a cell when it is placed in hypotonic solution? What happens to the cell when it is placed in isotonic solution? What happens to a cell when it is placed in the hypertonic solution? So here we first take the example of the hypotonic solution. So student, if a cell is placed in the hypotonic solution, Hypotonic, as we already read, hypotonic is for the dilute solution. In science, dilute solutions are those which has more water in it, and concentrated word for that which has less water concentration. So here we take the example of hypotonic solution. So if a cell is placed in hypotonic solution, that means that solution is dilute solution, and dilute solution is that which has more water concentration. So means the cell has less water concentration, the solution has more water concentration. So water will move from outside to inside the cell due to the process of the endosmosis. So when a cell is placed in hypotonic solution, then it shows the process endosmosis. When a cell placed in hypotonic solution, then water is enter into the cell, and water enter into the cell, then the cell swells up. You have seen that when your mother is preparing any dish with the help of the resins, so they first dip them into the water, and after some time that resin becomes swollen. That is due to this phenomenon endosmosis. Next one is the isotonic solution. As we already discussed, iso word come for the same. So that means the cell and the surrounding medium have the same concentration, so that the similar amount of water will enter or exit the cell. If the similar quantities enter or exit, then what happens to the shape of the cell? Then there is no change in the shape of the cell, that remains same in the shape. So this is about the isotonic solution. When a cell is placed in isotonic solution, then there is no change in the shape of the cell. Now, next one we read about the hypertonic solution. Yes, now student, we observe what will happens to a cell when it is placed in a hypertonic solution. So, as we already read, the hyper word come for the more, or you can say hypertonic solution is a concentrated solution, and concentrated, which we already discussed, that kind of solution which has the less water concentration. That means this is the cell and the surrounding medium has the less water concentration as comparison to this cell. So as we already read, the water will move from higher concentration to lower. So here water is present in more quantity as comparison to outside. So the water will move out from the cell, and this process is known as the exosmosis. And due to the exosmosis, water will move out from the cell and the cell will start shrinking in the size. So when a cell is placed in hypertonic solution, then it shows the process of exosmosis, and the shape of the cell, size of the cell start shrinking. Also related to this, there are two phenomena are present, that are the plasmolysis and the crenation. Plasmolysis is a process which is generally occur in the plant cell. In the plant cell, along with the plasma membrane, they have a extra membrane on it, that is called the cell wall. It is a rigid layer which is present in the plant, and the cell wall help the plant to withstand the drastic condition, the various kind of condition like the heat, cold, rain, etc. So due to that cell wall, they can tolerate that condition. It is the rigid layer. So in case of the plant cell, if they are placed in such kind of solution, then whole the cell will not shrink. Only the protoplasm will start contracted and it will start moving away from the cell wall. Only this area will start shrinking away from the cell wall, and this process is known as the plasmolysis. But in case of the animal cell, in animals there is no rigid cell wall, they have only the cell membrane. So when these kind of cells are placed in the hypertonic solution, so the water will start moving outside and the whole the cell will start shrinking from all the side, and it will give a wrinkled appearance. So that kind of process is known as the crenation. So these are the different processes in plants and animals. Next, there are the importance of osmosis, where the process of osmosis is used. So the process of osmosis is generally used for the absorption of water by the roots. The osmosis is a process which is generally occur in the living cell. It is not present in the non-living cells. And in some plants, there are some movements are also occur due to the osmosis process. Here we take an example of the touch me not plant, chui mui plant, in which if we touch a leaf, then the leaf droop because there is the change in the osmotic concentration. So today this is our whole topic about the osmosis. In our next video, we discuss our next topic, and that is the cytoplasm. Student, in our previous lecture, we have already discussed the two basic components of a cell, that are the nucleus and the second one is the plasma membrane. But today we read the third basic component of a cell, that is the cytoplasm. So student, the cytoplasm, it is a semi-fluid material. Semi-fluid means semi word for half, and fluid are the substance which can flow. So it is a semi-fluid material which is present between the nucleus and the plasma membrane. If we have the structure of a cell, this one is the nucleus, this is the plasma membrane, and the liquid which is present between these two, that is the cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is a fluid material present between the nucleus and the plasma membrane. Next, this cytoplasm contains generally the three things, that is the cytosol, the cell organelles, and it also included the cell inclusions. So these are the three components of this cytoplasm. Out of these three, we first discuss this cytosol. This cytosol is also known as the cytoplasmic matrix, and it is the fluid part of the cytoplasm. It is the liquid part of the cytoplasm. Fluid we already discussed, that is the material which can flow. This part contains the 90% of water, and along with this it also contains the various cell organelles and the number of biomolecules like the minerals, the sugar, the enzyme, the vitamins, the ions. All these things are present in this cytosol. Along with these things, this cytosol also contains the waste material. Some of the waste materials are also present in the cytosol. Yes, after the cytosol, there are the cell organelles. These cell organelles are the subcellular structures which have characteristics form, structure and function. These cell organelles are the microscopic structure which are found in the cell. And there is special thing about the cell organelles is that they have a specific structure, they have specific function in the cell, and they help the cell to perform the metabolic activities. These cell organelles are divided into the three categories, that is double membrane, single membrane and membraneless organelles. First of all, the double membranous organelles are those which have the double layer on it, and the two organelles, mitochondria and plastid, are that kind of organelles which have the double membrane on it. I think you all are familiar with the name of these organelles and the function of these organelles, but in our next lectures we discuss about these organelles one by one in detail. But today we discuss only whether they are double membrane, single or membraneless. So double membrane, these are mitochondria and plastid. The second one is the single membrane. Single membrane bound organelles are endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes and the vacuoles. And only a single organelle which is without any membrane in a cell, that is the ribosome. What is the function of the ribosome? Ribosome are the protein factory of the cell. Their main function is to give the protein, to provide the protein to the cell. There is another important thing about this cell organelles, that they continue to survive and perform their function even outside the cell, if the condition are provided similar to that of cytoplasm. If they are outside the cell and they get the environment similar to the cytoplasm, then they continue their function. So this is about the cell organelles. Yes student, the next component of cytoplasm is the cell inclusions. These are actually the non-living substances which are present in the different part of the cell. Maybe it is in vacuoles, in the cytoplasm, or in the cell wall. And these cell inclusions may be any kind of reserve material, or maybe any excretory material like urea, etc. Maybe any pigment, or maybe any pistil. It is just a small topic in the cytoplasm. Cell inclusion, actually these are non-living substances present in a cell. At last, we discussed the function of the cytoplasm, which type of function the cytoplasm perform in a cell. So first of all, it is the sheet of the metabolic process. It is the place where the metabolic process of the cell is completed. Second one, it distributes the nutrients, metabolite and enzyme in the cell. This cytoplasm help in the distribution of these kind of material like nutrient, metabolites or the enzymes to the various parts of the cell. Third one, it brings about the exchange of material between the cell organelles. Every cell organelles need the help of other to there is the exchange of material takes place between the various cell organelles, and that exchange is done with the help of the cytoplasm. These are the main function of the cytoplasm that is performed in a cell. So this is our complete topic today about the cytoplasm. Hello student, in our previous lecture we already studied about the basic component of the cell. But our next topic is the cell organelles. We read about the cell organelle one by one. But before starting the cell organelle, there is an important topic, that is the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cells. So first, today we discuss about the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cells. First of all, the prokaryotic cells. In science, the pro word come for the primitive and the karyo word come for the nucleus. So these are the cells which have the primitive type of nucleus. Primitive type of nucleus like this. Actually it's not nucleus. The genetic material is generally present in the coiled form without any membrane. That is called the nucleoid. And in eukaryotic cell, U word for the true, again the karyo word for the nucleus. So these are the cells which have the true kind of nucleus. Nucleus we already studied, that have the structure like this: double membranous structure, chromatin material, nucleolus, nucleoplasm, this kind of structure. That kind of nucleus is present in the eukaryotic cell. But in prokaryotic cell, not such kinds of structure is present here. Here just this chromatin thread is present in the cytoplasm in the coiled form. Here the name is given to them nucleoid. Second one, there is no membrane around the nucleus. Also, there are the membranous bound organelles are also absent in the prokaryotic cell. But in the eukaryotic cell, they have the membrane bound organelles, which we already studied, double membrane, single membrane. So that kind of organelles are only present in the eukaryotic cell, that is absent in the prokaryotic cell. But there is a single organelle, that is the ribosome. This structure is present in both the cell, prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. Then we take the example of this kind of cell, prokaryotic, which have primitive type of nucleus. So these kind of cell have that kind of organism which have a very simple body organization. So that are the bacteria and the blue-green algae. And these eukaryotic cells are found in the most advanced type of organisms. So that are the fungi, plants, animals, protista, etc. So in that kind of cell, that kind of cells are generally known as the eukaryotic cell. Yes student, here is the diagram of a prokaryotic cell. We can draw a prokaryotic cell like this. Here there is an outer covering this is a dark layer. This is known as the cell wall. This layer is called the cell wall. And to the inner side of this layer, there is a dotted layer that is known as the plasma membrane. And Here is a rounded structure is present here, that is actually a inward fold of the membrane, that is known as the mesosome. Here is the structure nucleoid that we already discussed. In the prokaryotic cell there is no true nucleus is present, so here the genetic material is in the coiled form, that is called the nucleoid. And here are these kind of structures are present, dotted structure, that are known as the ribosome. Ribosome we already discussed in our previous lecture. It is the protein factory of the cell. Its main function is to synthesize the protein for the cell. And here are the small hair-like structure are present on it, that are known as the fimbriae. And also these kind of structures are present here, that are known as the flagella. This structure are called flagella. This structure is used by a cell for the movement. They can move with the help of this flagella. Yes student, this flagella is used by the cell for its movement. The function of this flagella is to provide the movement to the cell. There is a single structure, ribosome. It is the organelle which is without any membrane. So this organelle is present in both the cells, prokaryotic cell as well as the eukaryotic cell. Yes, dear student, you have already read about the plant cell and animal cell in your 8th class. You already know about that cell. In that kind of cell, we generally see large number of organelles are there, like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, and vacuoles and another things. But in this prokaryotic cell, it is a primitive type of cell, so no such membrane bound organelles are present here. Here only the ribosomes are present. It is a structure which is present in both the cells. Only the difference is, in the prokaryotes they are generally 70s and in the eukaryote they are generally 80s. In prokaryote that ribosomes are smaller in size, but in eukaryote their size is larger than the prokaryote. This is the difference between these two, prokaryote and the eukaryote. About this ribosomes we read in the detail in our next chapter, in our next lectures. At last we discuss the differences between the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. The basic difference between these cells are, first one, this prokaryotic cell, these are smaller in size, and these eukaryotic cells, they are larger in size. Second one, an organized nucleus is absent in the prokaryotic cell, which we already discussed. At place of nucleus they generally have nucleoid, but in eukaryotic cell they have the true type of nucleus. Third one, in the prokaryotic cell the membrane bound organelles are absent, like the mitochondria, the Golgi bodies, the endoplasmic reticulum, all that kind of organelles are absent in the prokaryotic cell. But in eukaryotic cell, the membrane bound organelles are present. Then next one, in prokaryotic cell, the ribosomes are present, but that ribosomes are generally the 70s type. But in eukaryotic cell, the ribosomes which are present, that are generally the 80s type. Last one, the example of these cells. The prokaryotic cell, in prokaryotic cell we can take the example of bacteria and the blue-green algae. But in case of eukaryotic cell, here we can take the example of the fungi, plants and animal. So student, these are the differences, basic differences between the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cell. In our following lectures, we just discuss the cell organelles one by one.